without me leaving any clues whatsoever about struggles I was having with my sexuality. It's only fair then that I give them time to heal as well, because for Nigerians, marriage is not just between the couple. It involves the entire family as well as the extended family.
Yeah, that's true. Really true. Really true. Ignorance. That's noted. I think many Nigerians are willfully ignorant. I agree with you. And also, I think one of the contributing factor to this is because some Nigerians are not open-minded. If not a whole lot of them, they are not open-minded. And also, I think as a result, it has led to the increase in the homophobic condition we have in Nigeria today. And also, you mentioned about you being married for 7 years. Wow, that's huge, pretty huge. I would have loved to hear more on that, but obviously we do not have the time, so I have to stick to what I have. Let's proceed now to the next line of question. Do you miss those good old days?
Yes, I miss really good times with my family. Things haven't been the same since I came out to them. But gradually our communication has improved because deep down we know we still love each other. My sexuality and whoever I'm partnered with is still generally not a topic of conversation. I think there's this intense fear that I will quote-unquote poison children, which of course is ridiculous. So there isn't just emotional pain, there's also physically a split lifestyle that I have to live. But I've come to terms with it as part of the burden I have to bear as long as I need to.
Wow, I'm sure a whole lot of people can actually relate to that. Let's move on. When did you first realize you were different? Was it when you were a lot younger or later in life when you were a bit older? Please tell us.
I was 17 years old when I understood that I had a crush on another woman.
17?
It was very intense and hard to understand or vocalize what I was feeling. I was confused and asked myself, what's happening to me? Feelings I never thought were possible suddenly emerged inside me and wouldn't leave. Young at mind and without any support or anyone to talk to, I convinced myself that the emotions I felt were completely unnatural, and I forced myself to repress those feelings, to get over her, and I went on to dating boys like I had been doing previously. I met a remarkable man when I was in architecture school, and we eventually got married. I was happy. At least I thought I was happy until a few years into my marriage, when all those emotions came back stronger.
Oh.
I was in my late 20s, and once again I became confused, depressed, and for the first time I started considering committing suicide. But I was taught also that suicide was a sin, so then I attempted to live a double life, dating women while still being married to a man.
Oh.
I call this the curse of being an architect. This quote-unquote solution helped me to avoid facing my family for a few years. I gained significant weight and consumed quite a lot of alcohol during this period. I was unstable and hurt many people in my life, including my husband, who I know loved me very dearly. I eventually fell deeply in love with a woman who could not stand the arrangement that I had going on, and she rightfully kicked me out of her life. At that point, I hit the lowest I had ever felt emotionally, and I remember being stuck in bed for about 2 weeks straight. Instead of coming out of the closet then, I decided once again to give up women entirely and live some kind of straight life. My husband seemed happy. I got pregnant, but 4 months into my pregnancy, I had a miscarriage due to the presence of large fibroids in my body.
Whoa.
I was so disconnected to my body then that I didn't realize I was even carrying fibroids. So I had to undergo surgery immediately after losing my child. Upon leaving the hospital, I said to myself, Ade, you better leave your husband and come out of the closet. I still believe today that the child died to save my life. I'm now divorced, but my ex-husband and I remain very good friends, as we always had been. I'm very grateful for that. In fact, some of the friends of my past who knew me then as a very good person are still with me today, and I'm grateful to them as well.
Oh, thank you once again, Ade, for sharing that experience with us. I'm sure people get to learn a thing or two from your experience. Now, did you first come out on CNN, or you came out to your family first?
I came out to my family first in New York. I was already living my life as an out lesbian woman for about 3 years before I came out on CNN.
Okay. How did your family take it? I mean, if you ever told them about your intention to come out publicly on CNN, what was their response? Did they try to discourage you, or they were all negative about it? So just tell us, please.
My family did not take the news well at all. My parents were shocked and angry. First of all, it was already a radical move to mention that I was getting a divorce. Talk less of admitting to being a lesbian. Some family members told me that my decision meant that I had chosen death over life. Others said that I should have just stayed in the closet, or that I should have never been brought to America in the first place, or that I should have waited till my parents died before choosing to live a life of freedom. This was their reaction, so I didn't need to discuss my decision to come out on CNN with anyone in my family clearly. I consider myself an artist, but also an activist, which means that I act based on strong values and principles around what I believe is the truth and what I believe is justice, not according to other people's expectations. I'd like to say that the younger people in my family have been a lot more supportive to different degrees, which is not surprising. And this gives me hope that Nigeria's future is bright when it comes to treating LGBT people equally and fairly under the law.
Oh, so true, Ade, so true. There's this notion that people have the ability to alter their sexual orientation. This in plain terms means that people can decide to switch their sexual orientation if they so desire. So, do you agree with this? And will you say that yours was just all natural, or you decided to, let me use the word, switch?
Inside the letters LGBTQ is the letter B, which stands for bisexual. It means that human beings have the capacity to love equally members of the same and opposite sex. We also use the word queer more frequently now, which has come to be understood as someone who is generally open and fluid in their love relationships and don't want to be tied down to any of the labels that society has created. Oftentimes, the labels gay and lesbian do a disservice to understanding the true fluid nature of human beings. Everything I have done in my life has felt natural at the time that I did it. When it begins to feel unnatural, I take it as my responsibility to put myself in a healthier situation. Whatever that is called is up to others, I guess.
Humans have the ability to love equally. Thank you, Ade, for bringing clarity to that. Do you consider yourself a happy person? Defining this in your own terms, of course, just to reflect your own definition of the word. Because I know most people have their own definition of the word.
I consider myself a healthy and balanced individual. And yes, with good health comes happiness. This does not mean I don't love and miss my family or the way I grew up. But at this stage of my life, it's not worth sacrificing my health and my own personal happiness for the happiness of others. Anyone who truly loves you and I will want us to be happy.
Now, how do you deal with the hate, homophobia, of course, and discrimination?
I find like-minded people who love me unconditionally to surround myself with. Others in the gay community who share my experiences or who can enrich my life with their own experiences. It is so important to know that at all times you are not alone. It doesn't feel like that most of the time. It can be depressing, but it's not the reality. There are so many out there dealing with discrimination, so it's important to have spiritual grounding, a community of people like you, and find either small or large ways to speak up whenever possible. This beautiful podcast you have created is part of that wave.
Thank you so much, Adejoke, for sharing that. And of course, for actually telling me that. It's good to actually hear it from other people. Now, have you ever been abused verbally or physically attacked or escaped an impending attack, citing your sexual orientation as the cause?
I have never been physically attacked. However, I was verbally abused by some friends and family members when I first came out. I know it was coming from shock and anger. One of my friends actually told me a story of how he had beaten someone up in Nigeria when he was younger, who had shown signs of being gay. I took that as a threat and kept my distance from him from that point on. After coming out on CNN in Nigeria, I got several death threats online via social media. My story was published on Linda Ikeji's blog, and the comments were extremely harsh and demonizing. The whole episode revealed how ignorant the average Nigerian is around issues of homosexuality.
Are you religious, and what religion do you identify with, if you are? Because I know most LGBT persons top entirely being religious because that they feel that they've been abandoned by their creator. Or are you actively religious? Do you feel the same?
I was raised a Christian and always went to church with my family, but I don't see religion in the same way that I did when I was younger. Today, I have come to see the Bible as a tool like any other. It can be used for good or used for bad. I agree with a lot of the teachings in the Bible, but I don't hold it as a sacred text anymore because I've seen it used to cause innocent people harm. I now view my relationship with God as a personal one, not dictated by how other people interpret the scripture. In fact, there are many gay priests and pastors now who live their lives openly and without fear, and they use the Bible to encourage others in the community. That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, so true. So true. So how's life with you now? I trust you're doing well and at peace with yourself. Are you?
I can't be fully at peace because so many of my gay brothers and sisters are still living with pain due to lack of freedom. Some close friends of mine are even suffering from HIV/AIDS, and they struggle to get medication ever since the signing of the anti-gay bill in Nigeria. The bill also criminalizes organizations that supply medicines to gay people living with AIDS. This is so evil and unfair, and in fact, I would go as far as to call it a death sentence. So no, I'm not at peace, but this inspires me to keep speaking up until there's a change, and I encourage more people to do so. Many voices are needed in this battle.
Yeah, valid point. So true, Adejoke. Yeah. That's why I encourage people to come onto NOSTRINGS and tell their stories, and let's come together and, and try to talk. I'm sure people are listening. Of course, even people outside the LGBT community are listening to as well. So let's put our voices together and really, get to, talk our issues, of course. Now, is there anything like a change or conversion therapy, and does it even work?
The whole idea of conversion therapy is ridiculous, and whoever thought of it was most likely someone living in intense fear and denial about their own sexuality. I wouldn't doubt that conversion therapy has also become a good way to make money. As you and I know, in Nigeria, everything is business. As far as the church, pastors now have a reason, justified by the government, to seek tithes for conversion prayers, robbing people of their tender souls for personal enrichment. This is disgusting.
Now, some people consider homosexuality as a natural, and as a result compare it to dangerous habits like, say, smoking and alcohol overuse, or say, an addiction. What's your take on this?
This is another senseless point. Sex, in general, whether straight or gay, can become addictive. Similarly, straight and gay people can have sex in moderation. To tag gay people as the ones who are addicted to sex is nothing but pure discrimination.